This is the official hour with RBP, where we talk about raw, unfiltered solutions and tips to all things entrepreneurship. And now, here's your host, Rahul B. Patel.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rahul B. Patel with the official hour. And today, I'm going to be talking about developing soft skills. Soft skills are one of the most important traits that you can have to succeed in your life and in your career. So let's talk about developing soft skills and what soft skills are. I think that soft skills are the biggest differentiator versus good and great. It's really easy. People spend so much time mastering their craft, getting better and better at what they do, and they forget about soft skills. Soft skills truly allow you to separate yourself from everyone else. It allows you to be better at your job, better at what you do, and most importantly, better communicate what you're trying to effectuate in your day-to-day. So let's talk about soft skills and what they mean. So I'll give you the biggest example of a soft skill. And let's talk about, every one of us will probably go through this at some point in our life, or we'll have a loved one who's facing an illness and a terminal kind of opportunity, terminal situation. So imagine if a doctor came in and said, and you're waiting on your toes for the information that doctor's about to give you, and the doctor tells you, listen, there's nothing we can do. We're gonna have to transfer him because we need this bed for somebody else. So, sorry. That news is delivered horribly. It's the right medical advice. It's probably the smartest doctor maybe in the room, but what he's giving you is advice that's filled with doubt, resentment, hate, right? You don't even understand what they're trying to say. Versus another doctor that would come in with the same news, deliver the same truth, but say, listen, we've done everything we can. Your father, your family, your loved ones got X amount of days. So I think, in his passing days, we want to surround him with family, and this maybe might not be the best place. So let's see if we can find him a better situation for you to enjoy him and his time. Changes the entire perception, but that's a soft skill. It's the same news, same delivery. So whatever that situation is, whether you're an attorney or you're trying to deliver some news to your boss or vice versa to your team or your staff, soft skills matter so much. And a lot of that comes down to communication. And we always talk about becoming a better communicator. Can you communicate better? So you learn all these things of how to communicate better. What it all comes down to is your soft skills, right? And what that really means is getting great at understanding what it is you do, but being able to get the other side or whoever that is on the other end of the table, next to you on that table, or behind you, to understand what you're trying to communicate in a way that resonates with them. So let's talk about soft skills and how to develop them. Because I think the adage is, either you have it or you don't. Bullshit, right? You can develop these things over time. And so there's, for folks like me that are type A personalities, that we're go. A lot of times we're filled in our head that we know everything. We're the best at what we are. Everything we've communicated is the greatest. Everyone understands what we're trying to say. The reality of it is, a lot of the times people miss that message altogether. So it comes down to a few things. And I'm gonna break this down into one simple term, but little subsets. Observations. How do you develop soft skills? Observation. So there's many of us out there that are just type A. We're going so fast that we fail to observe anything around us, in any cues around us that allow us to have a soft skill. So the same situation, you're about to deliver some news, or you're delivering something with some expectation, and you don't look at the other person to see what kind of body language they have. How are they feeling? What time of day it is? Who are they? Most of the time we know who we're communicating with, and if we've observed well, we'll know when the best time to approach them is, how the best way to approach them is, and how we can get across what we want. So observe people in their human behavior by, one, observing them in individual settings. So when they're in individual settings, or you're in an individual setting, and this works both ways, okay? So observation of others in order to get what you need, but also figuring out how to observe yourself, and that is by finding yourself somebody who's a strong type B personality that can sit back, listen, observe, and then give you the message at the right time. And if you can allow that to soak in, then their observations of you will translate. So a lot of this, I'm gonna be talking about how you can observe others, but the same goes for you. So observe people in individual settings. How do they do? How do they react? Are they better in individual settings? Do they relay information better? Do they hide in individual settings? Do they take challenges personally? Do they stand up for challenges? Seeing how people how they're observed in individual settings will allow you then to observe them in group settings. How do they do in group settings? Some people are very very good in individual settings. They can communicate, they can get across what they want, they can be strong, they can be assertive, but when they come in group settings, they fold. They completely change. So whatever the information they have may not translate the same. So you really need to observe people in group settings so that way when you're trying to deliver your message via a soft skill, you can get across to them. They know they can do it in an individual setting, but do they know that they can't do it in a group setting or vice versa, right? So those are important kind of ways to do that. Now, here's another way to observe yourself and others. How do people do under pressure versus how do they do when they're doing really well? Sometimes people under pressure do really well. Sometimes people under pressure fail. And sometimes when they're winning, they fail because they get too comfortable there. They get too complacent. So you've got to look at these things in order to develop the soft skills that you need to be able to communicate effectively and to be better at what you're trying to do, right? And so for a lot of what I do, I'm as a property tax attorney, right? We all know the news. My tax bill's too high. I got to hire you. I'm pissed off that I have to hire you. I'm pissed off that I have to pay you. This is stupid that I even have to do this. They should know what my taxes should be. And so they're coming to you and they're just griping at you. And I used to remember sometimes like people would say like, how do you do this? How do you listen to them all day? Just bitch, moan, cry, complain, whatever it is. And the part of it is just listening. Let them go. You already know. And then you have to empathize with them, right? You have to create some level of empathy. Say, listen, I understand. I'm just as frustrated as you are. And you know what? The reality of it is this is something that you're going to need to get used to year after year. But now that you're used to that, let's talk about creating the strategy to make sure that we don't have to feel that at the end of the year, right? Those are the types of things you break down. Hey, you get it. You get it. You're not just listening to them, but you're also telling them what they need to hear, but in a way that empathizes with them, that makes them understand. Not just, hey, look, you're right. We're going to tackle this. Now you're setting yourself up for false expectations. Or you know what? This is horrible. Nothing I can do for you. Right? They're going to keep going up every year. Sorry. Those are the types of soft skills that people lose oftentimes, and then they fail to win time and time again because they never allow themselves to develop those soft skills. So back to what we talked about, observation. Really learn to observe others that you're trying to improve and get better, or that you need in your process. Sometimes, like I can remember, I've got a boss. I've got to get something across to them. How do I do this? And a lot of times they've got personalities, they've got issues, they've got anger, they've got soft heart, whatever that is. If you learned what it is that makes them tick and how they tick, then you will find the right opportunity to get across what you're trying to convey to them, right? Sometimes people are really good over a meal. Sometimes people are great after a meal and then they're horrible before they've had food. So you got to learn these things, right? A lot of times, sometimes what happens is first thing in the morning, my assistant will come in and just start hitting me with stuff. It's like, that's not the right time. I'm trying to knock out some things to set my day up for success. But when you come in there, you're going to get the wrong attitude from me. But if you know, hey, well, let me come in maybe around lunchtime, or let me come in and sit down with you at lunch, I've kind of calmed down. My energy level started to taper and I've got the right attitude. So those are the soft skills that someone has learned about observing me in individual settings to make themselves better and also to allow me to be better at communicating back with them. So guys, listen, soft skills is something that in this day and age, if you don't have it, you're never going to be great. You've got to develop those soft skills. And sometimes for some of us that are talkers, we've got to learn to listen. And some of us that are listeners, we've got to learn to talk too. And all that comes from observations in individual settings, in group settings, and when we're winning and when we're under pressure and it's a challenge. So that's me. Again, Rahul B. Patel with the Official Hour. And remember, developing soft skills isn't something you're just born with. You can develop them.